This is the TimeLinx SmartMobile client for Sage CRM. I'm going to log in as Susan May and enter her password and click the login. So this system represents the same time entry and expense entry system that exists in TimeLinx. The difference being this can be run from your mobile device, which includes any iOS device, any Android device, and Blackberries that are modern, up-to-date browsers. I have a few options here. One is a start date, end date entry for tracking attendance if I want to track the start of my day and the end of my day. The primary use is time entry on a project. The system will default to today's date. I simply choose my company. I choose my project. I choose a task on that project, identify who I am, which will determine the proper rates, identify where I'm doing the work, perhaps I'm in the office. I can enter a starting date and an ending date and time, or I can simply change the actual time to what I choose. The system made an adjustment because in this particular case, there's a billable minimum on one of these rules based on these selections. Part of the whole context of TimeLinx is that users don't have to think about, worry about, or make errors by entering their time because TimeLinx will do all the calculations properly. I'm going to update the percent complete of this particular task, put in the notes of what I did, and then I can also enter comments that are internal only and will only be visible to people in the company, never to the customer. I can submit that. The system is telling me that I've missed a field that's required in this particular system. It's called service category. That has a lot of different uses, but it's a way of categorizing this particular hour-and-a-quarter time segment into a number of different choices, such as pro bono, warranty work, while still keeping track of the original task that you're doing. Now when I submit, and it has inserted the record successfully, and I'll say OK. I can also do time entry by task. When I log in this way, all the tasks that have been assigned to me and all the projects that have been assigned to me are listed here. I can expand the specific tasks on an implementation project, for example, and then choose which task I want to work on. An action menu comes up. I can add time, which will take me to the same type of entry you just saw. I can add an expense. I can mark the task as completed. I can get a map to the address of this particular task, or I can enter into discussions about the task with other people who are in the discussion group in my company. I'm going to add an expense this time because you've seen the time entry portion. It remembers all of the data that I've just entered. All I have to do is pick my expense type. So depending what I choose is going to bring up additional fields for the correct entry. For example, if I pick copies, you'll notice the system just added quantity, unit cost, and amount. If I choose an expense type of mileage, now I've got mileage, a rate that's being pulled from TimeLinx, the proper currency, and I can identify how many miles. If I choose a different expense type, such as parking, I might just enter an actual dollar amount. And if I enter a type of per diem, it might calculate automatically what we're charging the customer based on the logic in TimeLinx for this particular expense. So I'll pick the per diem, quantity of 1. You'll notice there's a tax field. Certain things are taxable, other things are not. I might have notes, or I'll simply submit it. The system's saying, what's the payment type? How did you pay for this particular item? This drives the reimbursement flag in TimeLinx. If you're paying with a company credit card, you're not going to be reimbursed. But if you paid cash or your own charge card, you would be reimbursed. The system flags that automatically. That's all part of TimeLinx logic. I'll just pick cash. Now I can put notes. If I need to mark it billable or non-billable, I can do so, but that flag will be set automatically again by TimeLinx based on who the customer is, what the task is, and other parameters. I'll click Submit, and that has just been entered into TimeLinx. I can also enter time on cases, which is a standard function in Sage CRM. We sometimes call them work orders in certain situations. Again, I pick the customer. I pick a case, if there is one. Enter the same values. What's the time? Where did I do the work? Where I did the work drives different rules. Perhaps 25 miles or 25 kilometers further from the office than usual might drive some type of other charges. So you'll see that travel hours have already been filled in, travel miles have been filled in. Of course, if I had to take a detour, I might need to modify that, or the time. If I put in an hour and a quarter here of time, the system has automatically said, wait a minute, you've gone more than 25 miles from the office, or 25 kilometers. It has done an automatic adjustment because TimeLinx knows that the minimum charge for going that far is a 4-hour charge. Again, without the user knowing anything, TimeLinx has calculated it all. I can submit that. It wants the service category again because that's still required in this particular system. That's a simple system setting to change. And save it. Lastly, I can go to the Sage CRM mobile client. This allows you to have the TimeLinx SmartMobile open at the same time as the Sage CRM mobile and go back and forth between detailed customer records and detailed TimeLinx records. That's it for the SmartMobile for Sage CRM. Hope you liked it.